Thanks. I'm Congressman Todd Akin, and I'm running to replace Claire McCaskill. Thank you.
Get rid of that. Yeah, get rid of that,
And, career politicians ask me, they say, Todd, you've got a secure congressional seat, and you've got your seniority. Why would you want to give that up? And the reason is simple. I believe that freedom in America is under severe attack. And that's why I burned the bridge behind for Congress and said, we've got to move forward, and the way to help secure freedom is to replace a rubber stamp liberal for Obama with somebody who is a proven and tested conservative. That's the solution, partly. And obviously, replacing a president is another good part of getting that job done. Now, the background that I have is really not what you'd expect in politics. I was trained as an engineer. I'm a combat engineer from the Army. And then later on, I worked for IBM. I sold computer systems to manufacturing, distribution accounts. I was in charge of maintenance in a steel mill. I had over 2,000 people reporting to me, 7 different mills. And from that experience, I started to understand how our free market system works. And from that, I have advanced policies which increase productivity and help to create jobs. What that means is, in simple language, lower taxes and smaller government. In fact, I am rated as the most conservative congressman in the state of Missouri over a lifetime record. What that means is that, when you really think about it, ever since Ronald Reagan, everybody who runs in the Republican Party now says they're a conservative. That's a good thing. But also, to a degree, talk and promises are cheap. And sometimes we're disappointed when we elect somebody. When you're looking at a 6-year term, I would suggest to you that a proven conservative record is a whole lot better than just promises and talk. Now, if you take that conservative record and you start advancing that forward, you say, well, what does that mean? Well, sometimes it means you have to vote against your own party. The very first vote I had in Washington, D.C. was a bill called No Child Left Behind. Now, the principle of education, and conservatives should think in terms of principles, is that parents and the local area is the best way to educate kids. And this bill was going to give more money and more power to a bunch of bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., and I have a whole lot more faith of you educating your kids than a bunch of bureaucrats spending our money in Washington, D.C., so I voted no. That's not the way to be too politically correct. Another thing that happens is my vote is not for sale. I have a record that money can't buy. I got a call one evening from my biggest contributor, and they told me, you're going to vote for that Wall Street bailout, or else we'll never talk to you again. And then I remembered the letter that some of you at elected office holders get once in a while. It's on a little piece of stationery, some little roses in the corner. Handwriting is kind of wiggly. It's a widow that says, I've got $10 left from my Social Security check, and I'm sending it to you, Todd, because I trust in you to do the right thing. I guarantee you, when I looked at it that way, I did the right thing. I voted no on the Wall Street bailout, and I was not going to be part of buying Goldman Sachs at twice book value. Now, as we look forward, what you need to know from a candidate is sort of what would you do and where are you going and all, and I think the easiest way to describe that, I didn't put one in my pocket, but there's some flyers around. Anybody got one of the flyers, Akin flyer there? No, not that big one. I'm talking about those little one. Do we have any flyers? Okay, there's some over here. If you take a look at it, there's a list of different things, and it kind of runs through what we got to do looking forward into the future. A couple of those things like people asking me about Agenda 21, people taking your property and everything. Got a solution for that. Just get us out of the United Nations and solve that and a whole bunch of other problems as well. And there are other things too. If you really take a look at what we need to be doing, I've just taken a look, and we're increasing in the last 3 years, we're increasing food stamps by 68% and cutting defense by 20%. I have 3 sons that serve in the Marine Corps. I know something about defense. And that's not the right priorities. The fact is, we are overtaxing the people who work and overpaying the people who don't work, and that's another thing that's going to have to change. Last, and I know I don't want to exhaust your patience, but I think it's important to talk to you tonight about something that I think all of us are dealing with, and let's just talk about it straight out. There are a lot of things in our country that we're very concerned with. I found as I campaign, I don't need to tell people things aren't going right. And sometimes we feel sort of hopeless and like we're so far over the hill. Is there anything we can do to take back America? And I would suggest to you that there is reason for hope, and the hope comes in this way. And that is remembering the times in our history where it looked like it was hopeless, and great patriots stood up and did the right thing, and America was snatched what appeared to be out of the jaws of some terrible condition or defeat or whatever it was. All the way through history, there are these spots where things looked almost impossible. And so what do we learn from those examples? Because we're facing a time today unlike anything any of us have probably seen in terms of the attacks on our freedom. The attacks are a little different, aren't they? Because they're coming from Washington, D.C. instead of from some foreign power somewhere. But the principle is about the same. And so what's the principle? How have we gotten through these things in the past? Because we can learn from history, and we can also take hope, and we can be strong because we know the lessons of history as well. What is the lesson? First of all, the thing that they always did was to remember who we are as a country. You know, we're people from all over the world have come here to settle, and we're all settled on a piece of land. But there's something unique that's special about America, isn't there? We all feel it. We know America's special. It's not like just any other nation. Everybody can be a little proud about their nation. But America is unique in history. And what is it that made it unique? It's the belief that there is a creator, that God, overarching everything, has created every single one of you in a unique and special way. And every one of you has a purpose as long as you're alive. You have some purpose, some dream to fulfill in your life. And the reason that He blessed us with life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness is so that we could each live the excitement of that mission that He created individually for every one of us. And that's what's made our country. And that's why we went to war, because somebody threatened the blessings of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. And that's why we're at war right now, because someone is threatening your life, your liberty, and your pursuit of happiness. We remember the dream. The second thing is that you saw about the founders. They put themselves in the way. They said, I'm willing you to run right over me. Take my life if you will, but I will stand here for that dream. I still believe there is a God who is just and that He will defend our liberties. So they put themselves in the line. Just like I taught my little kids to do. There's some things more important than life. That's why they serve in the Marine Corps. And the last thing, when everything looked like it's hopeless, the founders stood because why? Because they'd given a promise that there is a just God that presides over the destinies of nations. And it was because of that faith that they were willing to persevere in almost impossible times. And it is that same formula, my friends, that will pull America out of the crisis we're in if we do those things. And so I leave you with what I believe is the same optimism that the founders all understood. And that is, there is a just God, and the just God armeth the patriot. God bless you all. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time.